Welcome to Your Music Matters Live. It's David Andrew Wiebe here, as always, coming to you live on a Wednesday for another live stream from Facebook for the Your Music Matters project. This is our first ever sharing and Q&A episode. We're always open to creating different types of content, and we're not close to new formats because this project is an experimentation as much as it is anything else. We're giving a lot of things a try to see what sticks and what people like you are interested in. Doesn't matter whether you are a musician, a marketer, a personal friend, a colleague, a community member, whoever you are, welcome. You're welcome to tune into this show. You're welcome to share it. You're welcome to engage with it. Leave comments, ask questions, give us feedback as to what we should be doing, whatever else you can think of. And we're going to start off, of course, by sharing, and then we'll get to the Q&A. But through the process of sharing, it might end up answering all of your questions, but we'll see how this goes. So, project update. I already talked about the fact that Carlo Keat is a part of this project, and him and I are planning to do some live streams together, which is exciting and fun. Do let us know what you think we should be talking about on those live streams, because we would love to know. Of course, our focus is going to be marketing for musicians, and especially digital marketing, because it is my area of expertise. But I do know a thing or two about traditional marketing and print marketing as well. So that content is still coming. We're just in the process of planning it. I spoke with Carlo just on Monday, and today's Wednesday, so a couple of days ago. And it looks like he's excited, and we're ready to get moving on that. I think it's going to be a great collaboration. And it is based on something else I noticed. Maybe I'll share that with you. There's a podcast called Freedom Ocean. freedomocean.com. And it features my coach, James Schramko, and one of his colleagues and friends, Timbo Reed. The way the podcast was set up, Timbo basically represented the voice of the audience. So he would be the one asking the questions. And then James basically represented the expert, of course. He answered Timbo's questions and then offered valuable insights into internet marketing. So that's where I got the idea for this from, and that's what Carl and I will be doing. And most likely we'll be doing it in different locations from week to week. Now, if you're a musician, of course we want to hear from you, okay? So at any time, do send us an email at yourmusicmatters2@gmail.com. We cannot promise a speedy reply. At some point, we're going to have to establish another leader who's responsible for communication. My responsibility is to have conversations and to establish other leaders. And that's what I've been up to in this project to this point. Although, admittedly, I've been quite hands-on. Hi, Joanna. So, yeah, I've been quite hands-on with Your Music Matters to this point. But really, I have a business. I have a blog manager role, and that's something I'll be talking about a little later. And I have other clients and contract work that I'm doing. So I'm not saying that's a lot necessarily. I'm just saying that that's what I've committed myself to. And I've committed to growing this project. Good to see you on here, Joanna. Let me know if you do have any questions about the project or anything else. First thing I wanted to share was just what I've been up to today. Simple enough, right? I actually started work at 10, so I'm just being real and honest with you about that. And some days that's when I get started, and some days I get started a little earlier than that. Last week I had a day where I started at 7 a.m. And so you might say that's a relaxed pace, but I got up probably 8:30 and wasn't quite ready to get going on everything that I needed to do. So spent some time in self-care before I got started on my work today. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But having a routine is a good thing, especially as a musician or entrepreneur. It is incredibly valuable, actually, but it takes discipline. You have to get into that habit of sleeping early. And I admit lately, that just hasn't been how things have gone for me. I end up watching a movie or something on YouTube and don't always get to bed at a set time. So I'm working on that. Hasn't been perfect by any means. And honestly, once I got up, most of what I've been doing today is I've been working on my staff writing duties over at Music Industry How To. And recently my work over there has ramped up quite a bit. And I am committed to helping that business grow in a significant way in the coming year, at least, if not longer than that. So that's over at musicindustryhowto.com. And you can see that I've been publishing a lot of articles over there since 2015. It is not my site. It is Sean Latang's site. And he has other internet businesses as well. But it's been great working with him. There's a reason why I've been working with him for the past 4 years or so. And it's been a really great working relationship for me, which is why I continue to do it. And I get to continue to research and explore my passion for music in a variety of different subjects, topics. I've been working on a guide recently, and it's close to 9,000 words. So it's like 8,800 words. That was all about music theory. So I get to use opportunities like that to either think about theory like I haven't thought about it before, or fill in some of those gaps in my knowledge. As a guitarist, I don't know everything there is to know about music theory. And I've learned a lot through the years, and I've had help from people who graduated MIT. So I know a thing or two, but I think there are certain gaps in my theory. And it's nice to be able to work on stuff like that, where really those gaps in my knowledge begin to get filled in. And of course, I had lunch and now I'm here. So that's kind of what my day's been so far. And that's what most days are like. A good chunk of my day now is writing those articles for Music Industry How To, and also various tasks to do with my business, which of course is Music Entrepreneur HQ. And with Music Entrepreneur HQ, I've started doing a little bit more hiring because there are more tasks than I feel I realistically can handle or should handle on my own. And it's kind of the same as this project, where we're looking for more leaders to step up and be a part of this in a significant way. The difference being, of course, with Music Entrepreneur HQ, the people involved do get paid something for their involvement. And Your Music Matters is a not-for-profit community project that I've been working on to help musicians with the marketing side of their business. So, of course, do feel free to ask any marketing-related questions in the comments. I'm happy to answer those as well. So I'm excited for the growth of Music Entrepreneur HQ. And I am going to be revealing a little bit more about that. You might be wondering what my next book is. If you've been following along to this point, you know that I've been working towards publishing 10 to 12 books this year. And of course, the next one that everybody wants to see is Flashes of Elation, which I have been working on, but the editing process has been somewhat grueling. It's been enjoyable, but my editor left me a lot of comments to work through on that one. And so please do give me at least 1 or 2 more months on that to be complete with it. But I'm still excited for that book just as much as I was when I first started writing it. The next book coming out is going to be 50 Steps to Becoming a Music Entrepreneur. And I think this book is going to be a little more, what's the best word? Gritty? Yeah, I think it's going to be a little more gritty than the past books that I've put out there. And it seems like every time I publish a new book, I sort of evolve on a personal level, and I come up with new ideas and new ways of presenting things and new ways of communicating the message and the ideas that I have about music entrepreneurship or marketing or other aspects of building a music career. And so this book is no exception. And one of the reasons that I think it's turning out the way it is because I've been hooked on Dan Kennedy materials lately. And you may not know who Dan Kennedy is, but he's an author and he's written a lot of books on marketing. And he is essentially a marketing expert and copywriting expert. Now, copywriting is an incredibly valuable skill, especially online. If you know how to use it effectively, it can make a huge difference in the traffic you generate for your website, as well as the sales you make. Effective copy will lead to conversions. That's just one of the facts. And there's various psychological elements that are often used in copywriting to make it persuasive to the potential buyers. And there's this whole thing about funnels in the music industry right now, which honestly, they've been around for over 10 years. It's not like they're anything new, but they're sort of catching a lot of attention and popularity right now. Well, the whole thing about funnels is if you're not a good copywriter, you may actually struggle with it because you need people to land on a landing page or sales page, if you will, and then look at the headline and look at the text and the imagery that's there and feel compelled to take a next step with you. And in many times or many cases, that's giving their email address to you in exchange for a free product, like a free song. But they're not going to do that if they land on a page and it's not terribly compelling, if they're not interested in what you have to say or how you've framed the offer that you're presenting to them. They're simply not going to follow up with you or give you their email address. So anyway, that's a little bit of a detour, but a little bit of a lesson on the importance of copywriting as well. So yeah, I've been hooked on a lot of Dan Kennedy and also exploring the connection of how what he teaches could potentially connect to how to achieve better marketing in the music industry as well. Because I'm often reading books that may not have anything to do with music, but I'm always looking for ways in which it can connect. So I feel like that's something I've been doing for years now. I've been looking at things outside of the music industry or topics outside of the music industry, trying to connect the dots between how it could actually connect or concepts or ideas that could be useful for musicians and music entrepreneurs. So I'm often reading with that kind of thing in mind, sort of keeping an open loop and then allowing those thoughts to come together in time, because they don't always come together right away after I've read a book. And sometimes I'll just read a really boring book and move on to the next one. That's also a possibility. But so I probably don't even need to tell you, the book that I'm reading right now is one by Dan Kennedy. The specific one is to do with time management. So that's the topic that I've been exploring lately. And I would say I have a strong grasp of time management. I have good control over my time, but it's something that we can always do better. And there's always different ways of thinking about it. And I feel like I'm approaching a lot of this with a clear head and a clear mind, which is why I think I'm just picking up way more than I might otherwise pick up just by reading books like these. I feel like I'm learning things that I just did not learn before. So that's a little bit about what I've been reading. As far as what I've been listening to lately that I've been hooked on, here's a few artists that I've been getting into a little bit more lately. One of them is Living Color, which you may well be familiar with, but I wasn't terribly familiar with until I found their song Behind the Sun. So I've kind of been hooked on that lately, but they they are sort of classified as a hard rock or 80s hard rock or hair metal band, right? Which should technically be right down my alley. But I've only ever liked really good 80s hard rock. I've never been into the stuff that isn't great or stuff that isn't melodic. And that's the case with most music, is unless it's got a great hook or a great melody, I'm generally not into it. So with Living Color so far, I've explored some of their catalog, but there's only a couple songs that have really connected with me, and a lot of the other ones haven't. So like I said, it should technically be down my alley, but so far I've only found a few songs that interest me. I've also been into Day of Fire, or at least just a couple of songs by Day of Fire. I have been listening to Course of Nature. Again, a few of their songs I've enjoyed. Egypt Central, there's a song by them that I've been digging, which is Citizen Radio. So those are a few things that I've been listening to lately that I have enjoyed, and that's been great. And I'm just looking at my Spotify list over here, but it is full of the usual suspects as well, which includes like Harum Scarum, Extreme, Endless, Sporadic, Rush, Edwin, Kiss, Collective Soul, David Bowie, a lot of the usual suspects, Van Halen, Pillar, Audio Slave, Disciple, Marty Friedman. So if I haven't revealed to you what sort of music I like in the past, that should give you a bit of a hint. But my tastes really are all over the place. It's not just one thing. I also like Mr. Big and, I guess that's kind of down the same alley, but Mr. Big and Marianas Trench and Richie Kotzen and Ivory Line, Remy Shand. So a good mix of things, even Hall Notes, depending on the day. I like stuff with a good groove. I like hard rock and anything that's funk. Not anything, but I like a good funk tune here and there as well. So there's a little bit of the sharing with you, and I would like to move into Q&A. But so far, there hasn't been too much engagement or too many questions asked. So we may wrap this up real soon. But it has been great sharing with you again. And if you'd like to learn more about Your Music Matters, which again is a little bit separate from what I talked about today, I was just sharing about the various things that I'm up to, various things that I'm reading and listening to, and what I'm doing with the Music Entrepreneur HQ as well. But Your Music Matters, like I said, is a community project. It's not for profit. And there's plenty you can find over at our blog, yourmusicmatters2.blogspot.com. You can find our videos there. You can find links to our other social media channels. On Facebook, if you search for Your Music Matters, you should be able to find us. On Twitter, it's at Music Validation. And we're also on YouTube. I just suggest going to our blog to find our YouTube page, because all the links are there, and we just have a page with random characters. So it's youtube.com/blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's been good sharing with you, good chatting with you. And so do leave some comments or suggestions or questions or whatever it is you've got. And if you'd like to be on the show at some point, also send an email to yourmusicmatters2, TOO, @gmail.com. And I look forward to sharing again with you soon.